Hello, welcome back inside the Hero Press Box for the Sunday evening edition. We 2 days in a row. We tried to do this Thursday, Sunday. We got them both this week, so that's good of us that we are back on schedule. We are a little bit earlier, but it just means we'll end a little bit earlier, get to bed a little sooner, which is nice. Much appreciated, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
So let's get right into things. There's actually, I guess there's one big story that's sort of developing, and that involves Hope Solo in her potential quest for U.S. Soccer Federation president, and comments that have been brought to light in a podcast interview that she did recently. We'll talk about that, and we'll have your updates on the NWHL and the W League. Let's see. First thing, though, I wanted to make note of and talk about quickly and maybe sort of explain why I did it and why I chose the words that I did on our Facebook page. I did get that up and running, so we are on Facebook, and we'll be able to post these episodes on there, and wanted me to enter a short description of what we are, right? What we do, because we're listed as a podcast on Facebook, and I'm going to pull up the description here really quick and go over it. And it's nothing too, you're not going to disagree with it, so don't worry. It's not like I should have checked with you before I on here. But something that's what's that?
I trusted you.
Yeah, thank you. Something that bugged me, and something that we talked about that I made note of in our first episode or two, was having to call it, or calling this realm of sports, women's athletics, women athletes, and having to separate it is what it seems like. And I didn't want to do that when we first started the podcast. I wanted this to be sports, to be athletes, to be the women's teams, without the women's polluting that, right? So, but that seems difficult. And what I did in this about us on the Facebook page was I put, quote, "Women's athletics are our athletics. We talk about our athletes and our sports." And I thought that was able to capture one of the reasons that I've become such a huge advocate for our athletes and for our sports, and that is because there's the possibility of feeling ownership with these teams and with these athletes. When we went to Wisconsin, we both went there for my 4 years, and was able to go to every soccer game, and mostly every basketball game, all the softball games, and as many volleyball games and hockey games as I could. And being the only student there, not let alone only male student at these games, I could start to call them my team. I felt like, and knowing the players, it was easy to be able to call them, my team, my players, to earn that ability to say that. So I think that about us on that Facebook page, it gets the point across about that, right? That you can gain ownership by paying the respect, by realizing that what these athletes are doing is just as impressive, as important to them as it is to any other athlete in the world. So, and I think that's what we're trying to do with this podcast as well. We're trying to realize this realm of sports as our own, the ones that we appreciate and respect as much as they should be. So I hope that makes sense to you. I'm sure it does.
Yes, it does. I think it's perfect.
And so from now on, I'm really going to try to use that hour as opposed to women's. And I guess if anybody jumps onto the podcast, if we add any more fans, although I'm not sure if we're leaving anybody out that's not already watching, I guess hopefully they can come back to this episode to trace why I'm calling in our athletes and our sports.
Yep.
So with that, we will jump into some of our topics for this episode. One that I mentioned before, that little spinoff there, was the Hope Solo comments in a podcast and an interview that she gave. I'm not sure a date, but it was before she had put her name into the hat as far as a candidate for USSF candidacy for their presidential election. And I have a few points of what she does say, and a few points that I'd like to discuss or see if you have any talking points on. But is there any big thing that stuck out to you that you would want to hit on, or things that you've seen since then?
Yeah. As far as listening to the podcast, I didn't get to that yet. It seemed like it was a little bit longer of a podcast, so I have yet to listen to that. But I did want to go past what she said, or what was quoted in the article that I had passed along. One thing that I'd come across was a tweet by Becky Sauerbrunn, may not be in regards to Hope Solo. Kind of with the timing of it, it seemed like it was. It was a quote from a movie. Goes, Mr. Madison, at no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Which is probably one of the greatest quotes in a movie ever. But besides that, it shows the division. If it is, yeah. Which it very well may not have. It may have just been a complete coincidence. But I have a feeling with what Hope said that there was division no matter what, if Becky wouldn't have tweeted it or not. That there is clearly a division. It was us against them type of deal. And the us, I think, was maybe just Hope, or maybe Hope and one or two more players. And that was it. So I'm sure that played into, obviously, her getting kicked off the team wasn't just because she said what she said after that Sweden game. A lot of things go into it. But clearly within the team, there's division as well.
So I see, I can draw in my head the similarities between that Sauerbrunn tweet and Solo with Rapinoe's comments. And I guess that's why I accidentally said Rapinoe's name, is because I was thinking about this before we got on here. Rapinoe's comments about
Castellanos.
Yeah, about Dana Castellanos and the kind of
That's a good point. I didn't
and because you look at it and it doesn't make sense. The comments that Solo made about Carly versus Alex in this interview, which you could say alienated both of those athletes from Holo's side of things, but this such a tight knit community of our athletes and our sports, and it's being torn down from the inside by these athletes with such high standing from the outside looking into them, and that's exactly what cannot happen, and it's happening.
Yeah, and I think her general point is she's right. If you think about it, the way that if you take it outside of if she wouldn't have mentioned anybody's name and just said, hey, there's athletes who do this and there's athletes who do this, and that's how it is, and not named Carly, not named Alex, it would have been playing right into your point that you made, I think, way back in the beginning, probably in the first handful of episodes with the Sports Illustrated swimsuit model and the ESPN body issue and all of that. So in general, I agree with her point. Could she have made it a better point by generalizing it? Well, of course she could, but it's Hope Solo. So she's always going to be naming names, and she's not afraid to name names and all this and that. What made me chuckle, though, was her saying that no one knew Carly's name. And going back to when Carly had come back from playing overseas, she was the one out there promoting the NWSL. And I remember making the comment to you, I don't know if it was on air or maybe through a text, that was like, I don't even understand why Carly's the one out there, because she's been here for half a season and now she's hurt, so she's not even playing. But she's out there because everyone knows her name. So her point was kind of invalid after she said that, in my mind.
Yeah, Hope's comment was that people don't know Carly's name, but something like, but you know who they do know? They know Alex Morgan. And she goes on to say that went on to say that Alex hasn't shown up in big tournaments like Carly has.
Mm-hmm.
And the article that I read, I had thought about it before it was mentioned in the article.
Mm-hmm.
was the Canadian game where Alex headed the
yeah.
of the goal in, and it did mention that, which was funny in the article that it did point that out. Also, it goes on to say that Hope goes on to quote say Carly doesn't get the respect because no makeup, just like other players who don't wear makeup don't get the respect or notoriety that players like Morgan do.
And there's some truth to that in my mind. I don't think that it's always in every single case it's 100% true, and it's kind of shown with Carly Lloyd. She used a terrible example. I don't know if she was trying to build up Carly's name or what her point was, because it was terrible. But in general, I think that she has a point.
Mm-hmm. A couple of things that she mentioned in that interview. One, she talked about the new CBA, new collective bargaining agreement that is, quote, still holding females back. She talks about it sort of being this placeholder where, okay, maybe it's a little bit better now, but we still have to wait 4 more years until we can talk about getting things to where they need to be. She talks about the team discussing a strike from that CBA, but the players were in fear, so they did not strike because they were threatened with fewer games, which meant less bonuses, which obviously meant less attendance and less money from those fan support for them to be paid the little they do get paid.
If there is any truth in that, which later in that article, maybe the next sentence or two, it says that, U.S. Soccer has come on and said that that is untrue, which that doesn't mean that it's not true. Very well could be true. I definitely see that being a possibility. That at this day and age, that's got to get out of there. That to be even threatening like that, to be threatening those athletes like that, shouldn't be happening whatsoever, especially in the U.S., especially with the team that has won 3 World Cups.
Right. So a few questions for you. One, do we know who votes for the president?
No. So I've been meaning to ask you that because I guess I'm a little bit confused as to who votes for the president. So I don't know. Do you have an answer?
Actually, I just had it because I have the date. They vote on
February 15th.
February 10th. February 10th. And it's going to be tough for me. Well, maybe I can pull it up here real quick. At least I can see where that February 10th, and I think it said where the location is that it takes place on. And here we go. The election will take place during U.S. Soccer's National Council meeting. So whoever would be on that council then would in turn be the voters, I would assume. So that was one question. Another question in the grand scheme of things, how does this interview that Solo answered to, how does this impact her one way or the other in her quest to become president?
Well, I don't think she had a shot to begin with. I think that I said this last time on Thursday is I think what she wants to do is what we need, but she's not the right person to be doing it. So her ideas are there, her concepts are there, but she's not the right person. So this just shows why she shouldn't be president, really, in my mind.
So does this hurt our team and athletes in general that she's even running? If it does seem like she's so out of whack from the path that she should be on.
In terms of fans, she has the fan support. And if you don't think that she has the fan support, just scroll Instagram and Twitter and you'll find support and you'll find the people who are against her. But in terms of that question, I don't yes, but no. Just because she has part of it right, which if you only have part of it right, that's only going to make matters worse. So I guess I don't have a direct answer for that one.
Do you think but there is a possibility that an outsider that isn't a huge supporter of this team and of those athletes that goes onto that site and reads that article and would think, which is very possible, I would assume, to go on there and think, wow, this girl has no idea what she's talking about, and I can't. And this is so immature for her to make these comments. This is exactly why they have not earned the respect that they keep saying that they need to have.
I don't think one person should influence that much of someone's thought process.
Yeah, but I think Hope Solo is there
in terms of
being that one person that if there's an outsider paying any sort of attention, they're going to know who Hope Solo is.
So you're saying if an outsider who knows essentially very little, they know the names of Hope Solo, they know that Carly Lloyd's, they know the Alex Morgans, if they go in and read that article
and they see her running for president,
and they say, what the heck, why is this person running for president?
And they see her those clothes and they think, look how immature this is for her to make these comments.
It's Hope Solo. Is this not what you expected?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to the outsider?
Both, because I'm talking to you because you know.
Me? No, this doesn't surprise me at all.
Right, exactly.
But as an outsider, I'm saying this hurts. This kills.
If you know anything about Hope Solo, you know the controversy that has come with Hope Solo. So I think
right. And now she's do you agree with me that she's adding fuel to the fire?
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. The outsider looking in this situation and seeing her say these things, this if anything sets our team a step back.
See, but I think I disagree with you on that part, is that I don't think it sets our team back. It sets, I'm going to say this backwards, it sets the Federation back, which is setting our team back. So I guess in a roundabout way, yes, it is setting our team back. But I don't think her in particular is setting our team back. If that makes.
Well, if she...
it's indirectly.
For me, it's easy to say that if she wasn't running or putting herself out there like this, and she was just staying in her lane, to be generic about it, right?
Yeah.
Then this wouldn't be happening, and she wouldn't be. Nobody would be bugging her asking these questions. Which, like you just said, it's Hope Solo. She's gonna. People know. People know she's gonna answer like this.
Yeah. And it's a matter of if you appreciate that or if you don't. Because she's not hiding anything. Hope Solo has never hidden anything. She's going to say something. She's going to say something.
Which, as we've seen in other realms of life, doesn't go over so well either when you have that time of one of that people in charge.
Right. Which is, that has always been in the back of my mind. And if we're going to draw similarities to that, which there are.
There are.
Yeah, the blaringly obvious things that are the similar, then yes, it's definitely setting our team back. But I guess I don't want to take it that far because we're talking about the U.S. soccer president. Key things are U.S. soccer and not just U.S. But that's why go ahead.
To let you talk about men's team quickly. I mean, you know a little bit about them. I know nothing about them. How would they react to a Hope Solo presidency?
I'm not even sure that they care who becomes president in terms of the men's side. obviously, I think they would. Obviously, anybody who's on the national team and who plays in the MLS, which are very few and far between, at least from what I know. Again, I know some, but I don't know a lot. Then obviously you're going to want certain people to be president because they already have connections with MLS. They already said that they want to turn the team around. I think, to be quite honest, this race has ramped up or amped up, however you want to say it, even more because the men didn't qualify. We really wouldn't be saying, oh, we need to improve the men's side with all this, with all our might. We need to put everything into the men's side because they didn't qualify. And yet here are our athletes who the rest of the world is catching up to them. If you can't see that, then you're definitely an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
So I think work needs to be put on into both sides. So I don't really think that they care too much because they know that they're going to be getting the attention.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. There is our 2 minutes of male talk of sports for 2018.
We filled our
Talk about them
quota.
again in a year. That is correct. Yep. Other question, final question regarding that presidency that I have for you that I hopefully give you 5 minutes to prep for.
Yeah.
And that is, give me 3 things that the new U.S. Soccer Federation president should do for our athletes, for our team.
Specifically for our athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be referencing the Hope Solo podcast in terms of she's asking for equal pay and just it being better isn't good enough, which that's clear and we get that. And unfortunately, that's really not the way it works, even though we all wish it would work that way for our athletes, is that there would be equal pay. Because to be quite honest, it's not equal play. It's pretty clear who the better team is when it comes to the national teams. So working on that and having someone who is in full favor of that and is wholeheartedly wanting to grow our system with however you want to call it. If you want to call that equal pay, if you want to call that better pay, whatever it is, it's got to improve all around. And you can tie the NWSL into that, not just national teams, because that's all kind of, I guess, in the same realm.
Mm-hmm.
I said marketing, and I guess you can kind of throw TV schedule all kind of into that same realm, however you really want to call that. I think they just need to do a better job of that all around, getting TV deals, however you want to do it, however you want to say it. And social media presence, I think they do a great job on it. Whoever runs that, I don't know who's in charge of that, if that's someone who's specifically within U.S. soccer or not. Third thing that I put in there, or I guess not necessarily something that I would say the president would necessarily do right away, but looking at the coaching staff, that's just something that, of course, has been bothering me. You know that. I've said it multiple times to you. Mm-hmm. So addressing that issue, especially with one of our assistants leaving, that to me doesn't help our case whatsoever on what's going on. We had our little experimentation last year, which it depends on, I guess, on how you're viewing experimentation. But to me, it didn't go well, which is fine. Experiments can fail. That's part of it. So I think we'll really see where we're at with these games coming up. So better equal pay, however you really want to phrase that. Essentially just a better CBA for them. What's going on now still isn't great. And we see that throughout the national team and the NWSL. Marketing, accessibility, however you want to really phrase that, and then coaching staff, I would say, are the 3 things that need to be addressed.
A couple other things that might become subjects for that president to take care of, and not saying that I would want to see this happen over the three that you said, which might be my top three as well. But the youth camps will be a big storyline when the president's hired or assigned, and then the playing conditions, which I guess might crack my top three as far as fighting for influencing of international play. As it might come down to, okay, we're not playing here or here because of the field conditions, and then even in the continental United States, some of the fields of the national NWSL teams play on, and even where our girls have played.
How did I forget that one? How did I am always. Oh, that is my bad. But yeah, that's
okay. So there, we got top four then.
Yeah. Wow. Field conditions. Nothing like playing on some turf in the World Cup. BC Place is terrible. Oh, it's terrible. It is so terrible.
All right, so we will move on. Just a heads up, somehow I have HD and full service, but then every once in a while the video cracks up. So if I go out or if I don't talk to you for like a minute, just give me a second, and I'll be back. Mm-hmm. We picked a top four of college basketball teams to make a Final Four. Did sort of a draft to get those teams. We have four. I think you made one change. Is that right? You picked up.
I made one change. Yep.
You picked up South Carolina. I think. So you have UConn, Notre Dame, South Carolina, and Baylor. And then my four are UCLA, Oregon, Ohio State, and Duke. Sound right? Yep. Okay. Since I will make a change this week. Okay. And since you made one last week and I didn't, or however long, a month ago, so I'll go ahead and make that change now. I'm going to take out Lexi Brown and the Duke Blue Devils, and I will be replacing them with Morgan William and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. So my four now are UCLA and Oregon, who played earlier tonight, with Oregon pulling away in the last minute and a half. Those two, Ohio State, who beat Michigan in overtime today, and then Mississippi State, who is projected as one of the number one seeds in Charlie Cream's bracketology. Yeah.
I was only able to listen to the last part of that UCLA-Oregon game, but it sounded like a great game. Were you able to watch the whole game?
I watched, a good majority of it. Mm-hmm.
I was very upset with you while I was listening to that game because I so wanted to pick Oregon in the beginning when we did this pick our four teams, and I think you picked them
second,
yeah, and
you picked UConn, so that's your fault.
UConn, unless anything drastically happens, is pretty much a lock for Final Four. Unless I don't know, something would drastically have to happen, I guess, for them not to make it.
Any changes for you?
I think I'll keep what I've got, at least for right now.
Okay, that's fine. We do have a few updates from a couple of leagues, and then there's also a tennis update as the Sydney International Tennis Tournament is underway today. So most of the top seeds did get a bye. So nothing to hear from like a Venus Williams, as she had a bye. But Ostapenko, who at one time was called the next big star of tennis, right? Which was put to shame here on this podcast. She was upset by Makarova in the first round, so Ostapenko, the 3 seed, is out of that tournament.
Wow.
I know you had W League action to talk about. Yes. I'll go ahead and update NWHL. Yeah. As far as the Metropolitan Riveters, they now lead the league by 8 points after they won 6-1 today over the Connecticut Whale to stay undefeated in the season. I got to watch a little bit of that on the Twitter feed, and it went okay. There were about every 5 minutes it cut out and had to reload, but not too bad. And Riveters look like they're going to be the team to beat in that league, and it's no wonder they're undefeated for sure. And then the next game for the NWHL is actually the team NWHL, who will be playing the national U.S. team on Saturday. Okay. Your W League.
Is that game televised, did I?
It is not televised, and I did not find
Twitter?
any stream information.
Oof.
It did not show Twitter like it does for the Game of the Weeks for NWHL, but I don't know.
Interesting. That's not good. I don't like that part. So pretty much the only update that I've got for the W League is just letting you know I haven't fully jinxed Melbourne City. They got a big win over Perth Glory. The game started at 11:30 last night. It was one of those games that was not on Oz.com. I think there was only one game that you could stream this past weekend, and that one was not it. It was quite unfortunate, especially for me, and I guess in the league in general, because they both switched places. So Melbourne City sits in 4th, Sydney FC is in 3rd, Newcastle's in 2nd, and Brisbane is taking the lead. So Perth Glory dropped down 1 spot to 5. That's probably the biggest news. I know I talked about Amy Harrison's injury already. Brisbane beat Melbourne victory to really secure their first place berth, at least as of right now. Melbourne City, like I said, had won. They won 3-0. Hatch had a goal in that game. And then Canberra United completely destroyed Adelaide 6-1. Alyssa Motts did score for Adelaide, though.
I thought I saw her name.
There was the lone goal for Adelaide coming from Motts. And that's what I've got for the W League.
Yeah, cool. I just saw, I was on Twitter looking to see if I could find any NWHL potential streams for next Saturday, and I did see that 8 hours ago, the New Jersey Devils, who have 703,000 followers, tweeted about the Riveters on the Twitter and their live stream. So that's really cool to see on the feed.
They're tweeting about our athletes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the partnership deal.
Hey, I guess.
Let's see. Other things I had on here that we would talk about the Las Vegas Aces and sort of their update and how that's going. We can cover that at a later time. We are getting close to our 35 to 45 minute range that we like to end with. So we can talk about that. Other things that will be on deck in the near future are our NWSL mock drafts. I think we said that if you want to do the first round, that'd be awesome, and I'll do all 4 rounds and spend way too much time on it, but hopefully as well as it last year. That draft is a week and a half away, a week from Thursday, so I guess next Sunday we'll shoot for going over our mock drafts.
Yeah, let's hope I don't have to work that day.
Yeah, that'd be nice, because that might be an extended episode. So we'll go over that mock draft. Las Vegas Aces, we'll talk about that, and I'm sure we'll have other stuff to talk about when the time comes around as well. So anything you wanted to end with? No,
that's all that I had for tonight.
Okay. Well, we covered a handful of things and got through that in 35 minutes. So we'll end it with that, and we'll see you on Thursday. Thanks for stopping by the Hera Press Box.